for me, in terms of, yes, as you say, being the flip side of Forrest's character, I think, you know, for me and for both of us in a sense, we represent the, I guess, the next generation, the generation that was reacting to our parents who most likely had lives in the South that they had run away from and moved to the North, in my family's case in the movie Washington. And because of us not having been born in the South, having a different point of view, we hadn't been surrounded by racism in the same way, and so therefore our notion of injustice was more robust than theirs. You know, for them, just to be afforded a job and not being lynched, and you know, was like, okay, things are better than they were down there. Whereas for us, the idea of being marginalized purely on the basis of the color of our skin was just an anathema, and so that there was a conflict going on within the country generally in terms of injustice, but within families, within black families, of how to approach this injustice. And I guess, you know, certainly in terms of the father-son element, that's the conflict that's playing out.
My character, Carol, is Lewis's friend slash...
girlfriend.
Yeah.
Love of his life.
Friend with benefits. And there's a moment in the film like that. But I think, you know, her purpose is really to support his journey, at least the beginning of it, for as long as she's in the film, for that decade where you see her in the movement and kind of root him. I imagine that the off-camera scenes are like, yeah, we've been doing these freedom rides, you know, and he says at the dinner table, we're tired of getting beat up, but I think before that, they kind of discussed a lot of stuff, and Carol was the one who said, no, this is what we're doing, you know, and they were a tight unit, and I feel like she was the one who kind of gave that extra nudge that propelled them to the next stage in their journey.
What you want from any great director is someone who is going to take you beyond what your own anticipation was and is, an expectation of what the character is. And that he does probably more so than any director I personally have worked with. You know, you come with a certain notion and he just takes it to the next level. And I think, you know, for him, I actually think he saw a lot of himself in our characters, in that, you know, he's a fairly, you know, outspoken guy in his own way, and is very, you know, strong when it comes to a notion of injustice, and so he paid our characters a lot of attention in terms of their trajectory, and that for me was, you know, it was great because it had to be very sensitively handled. The danger with us is that we're just these radicals, these revolutionaries who you can dismiss, but actually you should be flitting between, is the Butler's point of view the way, oh, but they have a point about, you know, that's the tension in the movie, and that had to be very delicately handled, and you know, he was the main way that I think we achieved that.
I actually did grow up knowing a lot about it because my parents were civil rights activists, so I was one of the lucky ones who came with that feeling like it, you know, this is part of my history, my personal family history, not just my country's history. But the process was interesting, you know, talking about Lee as a director. I think we all felt a real responsibility because this is, you know, it's a family story, but it's also historical, and so we need to do justice, and we need to be sensitive to the fact that these people are still alive, this is real, and we felt pressure to do it right, and there were conversations had on set, you know, about choices being made at the lunch counter, and, you know, how Carol's character leaves the story, you know. We're all very sensitive because we're talking about something that is very recent history, and it's very real, and it's still on a lot of people's hearts. And so I think in the end, I hope people will be happy with how it was done.
It was a huge privilege. I mean, to have, the funny thing about having Oprah as my mother is she's been in my life for so long. Do you know what I mean? So you then meet her and you go, oh, there you are. Where have you been all this time? Come here, you know. And so it was very, very easy to slip into the idea of Oprah being my mum, because like I say, there was a level of familiarity. But the great thing about her is that she's not one of those people who you then meet and you go, oh gosh, you're not as nice as I thought you'd be. You know, she's even more lovely to be around, because she didn't bring any of that, whatever you would anticipate Oprah Winfrey. She was just another actress trying to get it right. Humility, you know, like you can't believe, and just so full of encouragement. And you know, I really, like, outside of the movie, I just love this woman. So it's that was a real privilege to get to act opposite her.
I only had one scene with him at the dinner table, and it was an acting lesson. It's just, some actors are just beautiful to watch, to the point where you have to remember, you're not a student, stay in character. You know what I mean? Really beautiful.
Yeah, it was the second time I've had the privilege of acting opposite him. The first time was in The Last King of Scotland, where he was playing the diametrically opposed kind of character to what he plays in The Butler, and that illustrates just what an incredible actor he is, really.
Oh, to just be inspired to act. I think the climate of 2013 is a kind of a more numb, a more complacent one than it was at that time, and I think it's a nice reminder that work still needs to be done. You know, the struggle continues, and it doesn't always have to be heavy, but just feeling like, you know, a responsibility to yourself, to humanity, to the country, you know, just a reminder that, you know, it's possible. You know, get off Facebook and do something.
And for me, I just think one of the things I love about the film is the depiction of family, you know, in all its reality. It's a family in which there is a lot of love, but it's full of dysfunction. And, you know, that's family. That's most families. And at the end of the day, the one thing that remains true is their love for each other, even when there's huge rifts, but this love remains, and I, you know, and that's whether you're black, white, or everything in between, and that's, you know, one of the things I love about the film, and one of the things I hope people are going to gravitate towards when they see it.